Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Council Chambers on this beautiful and sunny March 4th day. I know it's a little bit chilly out there with a little bit of wind chill. I think this morning when I got up, it was like minus 24, and it was minus 34 with the wind chill. However, as they say in Alberta, if you don't like the weather, just wait. By Thursday, it's going to be plus 0. We'll be swimming in all the snow that's going to be melting. So it is interesting. Definitely this whole winter season has been interesting in terms of weather and the amount of snow that we get at once, and going from plus 16 to minus 50 in a week. A little shocked, but as most Albertans and Canadians, we're resilient and we'll continue to move along. Some of us will freeze their fingers and toes, and others will not. So hopefully make sure you prepare for that, especially when the weather goes up and down. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an agenda before you. If I can have a motion to adopt the agenda. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, that the March 4th, 2024 Governance and Priorities Committee meetings agenda be adopted as amended.
Okay. Thank you. Administration, is there anything to add to the agenda?
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing to add at this time.
Okay. Call the question. All those in favor? Okay. Should be as adopted, as amended. Nope, sorry, that should not be. Right.
Through Your Worship, that is an error. We apologize. It should be as adopted.
Thank you. I think that's a leftover from last time. So I'll call the question again, members of council. That is incorrect. It is just as to be adopted, not as amended. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Okay, that is carried. And before we move on with our agenda, this is the time that I would like to turn over the chair to the Deputy Mayor as our ongoing process and my ability that I want to make sure I'm here to mentor, because as the saying goes, that you can get hit by a bus anytime. Right, Councillor Meyer? To make sure that council is well prepared and equipped to take on any situations that may occur. So with that, I'll take the opportunity and pass the chair over to Deputy Mayor Palechko. The chair is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Choi. Welcome to Council Chambers. It's nice to see people sitting in the chambers for a change. You usually come here and stare at a blank slate, so welcome everybody that's here this evening. Find the agenda that's before us. This is the time we allow members of the public to speak to council about anything that is not in the current agenda. Administration, has anyone registered to speak?
Through the Deputy Mayor, no, there's not.
Thank you. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak to council about anything that is not on the current agenda? Seeing no one, we'll proceed. This evening we have the Kinsmen of Stony Plain in council chambers. Welcome, and please come forward for your presentation. I'll ask you to print your name on the sign-in sheet in front of you, push the button on the base of the microphone, and speak directly into it. And for all of us that know you, we know that you know that process, so we look forward to hearing from you this evening.
Okay. I have to change my report because of what the mayor just did. So good evening, Deputy Mayor Palechko, Mayor Choi, and councillors, fellow kinsmen, administration, those at the back. Thank you for allowing us to come before you today. This is one of the highlights of our year. We're about midway through. It seems like it's the new part of the year, but we end in August, so halfway through. For the past 104 years, the Kin Clubs of Canada have helped citizens across our great country with the motto, serving the community's greatest need. This year, the Kinsmen Club of Stony Plain will be celebrating serving our community for 45 years. So I don't think we have anybody younger than that in the crowd, as you can tell by the lack of hair or the gray. Each year, our club identifies acts to celebrate during our Kin Kindness Days. On February 20th, which was Tuesday, we attended the parent and taught skate at the Glen Hall Arena, providing coffee, flowers, treats to the attendees, and found out that it was the old-timers who actually play right after them. So we stayed and provided them with coffee and treats, and I think it was as much appreciated by those older hockey players as it was the tots who were out with parents. Following Friday, maybe council's aware, but for sure administration is, we appreciate the help from the administration. We provided the ATS drivers and administration with Tim Hortons gift cards. And then for that whole day, we paid the fare of all riders and provided cookies for everybody who rode all day. Also on that day, some of our fellow kin were at Westview Health. And from 10 to 1, while the cafeteria was open, we paid for all the beverages of the doctors, nurses, patients, visitors, and all that. There's a couple guys here who've got some great stories of just visiting and talking, so it was wonderful. Saturday the 24th, which wrapped up our week of giving, we provided 10 gift cards to the patrons at each of the 3 Tim Hortons in Stony Plain. And then we popped into the Co-op food store, Friesen Brothers and Red Apple, and we gave 10 more families $25 gift cards to help with theirs. So we had a really good week of just giving. And being at one of the locations, everyone was like, how can we help you? And I said, you already do. This is us giving back to you. So really a positive. The reason it's around the 20th, that was when Kinsman started 104 years ago. So every year we try to do that, and that happened all across Canada, just with acts of kindness. Annually, we partner with the town of Stony Plain to host Farmers' Days, which is our largest fundraiser, with the proceeds raised being put back into the community. The past year, 20 nonprofit organizations, which are charities, service providers, received the support from the funds raised at that event. One other thing we're really proud of is Kin Canada has bursaries of $1,000 that they award across Canada. Well, the Kinsman Club of Stony Plain in 2007 said, why don't we do the same in our community? And we, to date, have given away 88 bursaries of $1,000 to people in our community who are attending post-secondary education. Some of the capital projects supported by the club when we've raised funds during the past years, concession equipment, tables, chairs, divider curtains, warehouse racking, picnic tables, riding arena fencing, riding arena groomers, the bleachers, all at Heritage Park. So those were items provided by our club in partnership with you folks and previous councils. The Interpretive Center at the Pioneer Museum, we were a partner on that, along with the CFIP funds from the Alberta government, and the building expansion at Parkland Food Bank, as well as many, many other smaller things that we're so proud to help. We're also proud to support the town of Stony Plain with the Christmas tree light up on Main Street. We're the folks in black jackets who are usually freezing, giving out free hot dogs and a little bit of cheer to help kick off our celebration in our community. And as well, the Kinsmen are pleased to support the New Year's Eve celebrations with a financial donation to help cover the fireworks. And the Kinsmen, of course, along with all our family members, we assist with the sleigh rides and the fire pits. And thanks to Public Works a few years ago when they built stairs, because we used to lift people onto those wagons. And that was a lot of fun when I was young, not so much lately. Our largest service project is the Kinsman Christmas Hampers. This year, the project helped 710 families, over 1,900 people in Stony Plain and Parkland County from Veterans Boulevard to Range Road 32. The Christmas Hampers has 2 components, the food hampers and gift hampers. We work with community partners to facilitate both components. On the Paul First Nations, we work in partnership with the Paul Band Social Development, the Paul Band School, the Paul Health and Wellness, to provide both food and gift hampers to those on Nation. The groceries to build the food hampers is purchased locally and delivered free of charge by Chemisphere Solutions. And for those who don't know that, that's the Wainham family. It's second generation that they have always supported. The Kinsmen, as well as groups on Nation and other community members such as the RCMP, the Black Dirt Company, North Central Co-op, assemble the hampers at the Paul School for recipient families to pick up. Food gift cards from the local food stores are included with each food hamper. For the food hampers, for those living in Stony Plain and Parkland County, this is administered through the Parkland Food Bank. Every food hamper received in the month of December, so from December 1st till when the Parkland Food Bank closes, is upsized with gift cards from those same food stores in Stony Plain. In 2023, so just this past year, the total value of gift cards provided was $83,000. Additional food was purchased, and that was what was taken to the First Nations, was $14,000. Families were also provided with a meat certificate for them to purchase meat of their choice. We work with our partners at North Central Co-op and the Rotary, and we are only charged for the certificates that are redeemed. And our redemption rate is about 75%, which is pretty high. Gift hampers are provided for children under 17 years of age. The community is incredibly generous for the children 9 and under. 10 to 17 was identified many years ago that we don't know the interests of these youth. So $50 gift cards are provided to the parents so they can purchase an applicable gift for the interests of that child. In 2023, we had 959 children experience the joy of Christmas. 493 of these were 10 to 17 years old, and for any math majors, that's $24,650 in gift cards. Every child receives a coupon for a Big Mac or a similar burger, compliments of McDonald's. Each family receives a pass for the Tri-Leisure. Each family receives puzzles and games applicable to their ages, and those aren't counted as gifts. That's just above and beyond. This year, we're so happy, each child received at least 3 gifts. That doesn't include stocking stuffers, doesn't include any of that. And we'd really like to give a shout out to our friends at Rehoboth. We all know how their program works. Their homes and their residents made 101 stockings for small children. It's a gift of love from them. They are big stockings, and they do it. And that's just part of our community. Again, those who should be receiving are giving. And we hear that story over and over. So how is Christmas Hamper supported? Well, we have online cash donations as well as checks mailed in. We have cash boxes and collection bins at local businesses and schools. We have youth groups at Red Apple from November 12th until Hamper Week. At Red Apple, we also have the RCMP, Fire Department, and Kinsmen on the very last day for the finale, and we raised about $10,000 in cash that day to help with the project. It was cold, but it was good. Kinsmen were at Friesen Brothers accepting cash and toys. Stellar Homes and Cord Electric, they, as companies, pick up all the donations on that Monday. It's all done by noon on the Monday pickup day. The Blueberry Scouts went door to door. Anybody in West Terra, thank you. Atchison Business Association, we are lucky enough to receive the mulligans from the golf tournament. One Man's Treasure does an online auction. The Ubaka motorcycle ride in September has chosen us for the recipient of all the donations. So anyone who rides has to pay a fee to ride and a toy, and those all go to the children. So it's really cool. Chamber on Tap We've been at that, and many of you were hit up to tap at the Chamber on Tap, so that's a new kind of tap, I think. The businesses of Atchison, through their, they used to be called Fill a Sleigh, and back in the day, it was fill a load line, something to do with a big truck. Probably Deputy Mayor knows, but way above my pay grade. The Tim Horton Smile Cookies. This is our third year. We are so proud to have been the test market for 2 years. It was going to be scrapped, and just to the persistence of the owners of Tim Horton Stony Plain, it became a national project this year. And we were so lucky to be the recipient here in Stony Plain, but I understand 500 other communities were able to get donations through that program now, so it's really a positive. And it didn't take away from the normal Smile Cookies, because that's in May now, so that's wonderful. First time ever, we had a Kick-Ass Caramels fundraiser. It was our very first time to do this. We had no idea. 814 bags of caramels were sold to folks in our area, so we had lots of community members. Mrs. Palechko and her daughter Ashley were number one because they combined for 200 bags. And then we had two other community members who stepped up for 101 bags and 87 bags. And then we had our RCMP and the Edmonton City Police combined for 125 bags. So definitely it reached far and wide. We understand they were shipped throughout the province and even interprovincial. Something new for us, especially those of us who have gray hair, we actually got Tip Tap pucks, which the Legion had been using for donations for Remembrance Day. So $5, $10, and $20 pucks, and you just tap it and your credit card gets charged. We had a lot of fun with that. We tested it a few times, and definitely it shows up on your credit card statement, I'll tell you that. We couldn't do it without the Parkland Food Bank. They register and provide all the upsized hampers to the community. The Paul Band Social Development, they do all the registration and administration of all the hampers on Nation. Pioneer Museum for the storage of all the donations prior to Hamper Week. And you, the town of Stony Plain, council, administration, all of the great folks we work with, we could not do the hampers without the pavilion. Simple as that. You know, we sort, we build, we distribute. It's an incredible partnership that just gives back to our community. So when we add this all up, how much went back to our community? Well, with products, gift cards, toys, passes, gift certificates provided to the families, of which 100% of everything we get goes to the families. There is no money kept by the kinsmen. Any administrative costs, any hard costs for supplies is paid for by the kinsmen from funds raised at Farmers' Days. What was given back to our community was $250,000 worth of stuff. This couldn't be done without the community. And the service hours to do this project was 2,900 hours put in by kinsmen, their families, and the community. Stories to share. There's tons of them. I should make these guys all have to tell one. But I stepped out to use the washroom at the last meeting and I got told I'm presenting. So yeah, close to the railroad tracks. So these are from the families. The hampers has helped my family incredibly. It is so uplifting to know I live in a community that cares. My family received a Christmas hamper in the past, and now I am in a better financial position, and I'm pleased to be donating and giving back. We hear that lots. My husband passed away in the fall. It is a tough Christmas, as he loved this time of year. The generous giving by the community made things easier for my 2 teenage daughters and I. Thank you. And then last one is thank you to the food bank, the Kinsmen, the community. We are able to celebrate Christmas with food, gift cards, and gifts provided. That's all I got.
Oh, tough act to follow after you're speaking there. I have a ton that I want to say about the Kinsmen, but I think it's fair that I let my fellow councillors talk first. The Kinsmen are dear and near to my heart on a number of occasions, and I think you represent our community not by who you are, but by the red shirts, and that's how people know who you are in our community. At this time, I'll allow fellow councillors to make comments or ask questions. Who would like to go first? Councillor Hansard.
I'll start the ball rolling. Well, I've been a fan of the Kinsmen forever. When I grow up, I want to be a Kinsman. But because I'm a woman, they tell me I have to be a Kinnett. You guys ought to change that rule. Anyway, whenever I see you, whatever it is, whether it's the rodeo or during Farmers' Day Parade, whatever you're doing, you guys stand out in a crowd. Even in the cold, cold weather when you were serving hot dogs and hot chocolate, I didn't know who was doing what downtown, but I knew it was freezing. Ed Burney gave me his hat to wear because I came without one. So he went back to his truck and came and plunked a hat on my head. My hair was frizzy for days, but anyway, somebody was saying, well, they're serving hot dogs and hot chocolate over there. And I said, who is? And somebody said, it's the Kinsmen. I said, of course it is. Of course it is. So anyway, we really appreciate all that you do. And we also appreciate that when you come into council chambers, you give us some of the details we wouldn't know otherwise. I volunteered one year to help out with the sorting, and that was an overwhelming task. I was amazed at how things worked in such precision, and every single person there was out of my league, for sure, but it was a lot of fun, and I think it's good if members of council and the public have not ever volunteered, they should try at least once to see what goes on behind the scenes. I'm a fan, I always will be, and thank you so much for all that you do, the many ways you give back, and continue to bestow kindness upon the community that loves you.
Well, I don't usually try and follow Councillor Hansard because she usually says it much better than I do. In fact, I don't think I could quite show the appreciation that I have for you guys exactly, but I'd like to echo the comments in that one letter that says it's really amazing to be part of a community that lets you know that you guys care, and that is something that we can all be proud of. Even though I haven't volunteered, but apparently I can be a Kinsman because I'm a guy, so, maybe you'll be looking for a new member. Anyhow, gentlemen, my hat's off to you for sure. Like I say, I can't say it as well as some of the other councillors, but we're proud of you guys.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for the representatives of the Kinsmen for attending tonight. Just on my behalf, just want to say thank you for everything that you do in our communities. A lot of people have concerns that Stony Plain is growing, and we continue to grow, and that we might not be who we are in the future. But I'm not worried about that. Based on the reports that I see from the Kinsmen and other community groups in our community, it doesn't really matter how large we get in terms of numbers. We're still able to maintain that community feel, that small town feel, is because of the groups like the Kinsmen that volunteer the time, the dedication, and the community coming around and supporting all the events that happen. So on behalf of our council and community, keep up the good work. And Stony Plain, at 100,000 people, will still have that small town feel. So thank you.
Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. To our kinsmen, you are the only ones that have ever come into this room and made me cry. And I'm not going to do it today. But I have maybe a bit of a habit of doing two things. And one is sharing anecdotes from my teaching. And two is sharing quotes from people that I find influential. Wish I could tell you I do neither, but I'm going to do both today. One of the former presidents of the United States, names don't need to be mentioned here, but 1964, I believe, was the year, talking about just some things that were going on in the world, came forward with the following: there are no problems which we cannot solve together, and there are very few which any of us, can settle by himself. And this is a quote that I actually wrote on the sticky note, I believe, after the last time you were here, because to me it spoke to who the kinsmen are. And it's this idea that, on our own, we're a small piece of a bigger puzzle, but collectively, change can happen. I tried, knowing that you were coming in this week, to think of any sort of program or initiative or event in our community that brings together as many people as the kinsmen do through the Hamper program. And just making a quick list during Ed's presentation this evening, looking at businesses local and international, faith service groups and organizations, youth clubs, sports teams, families, friends, individuals, protective services, community, and so on. I don't believe that I've been able to come up with an activity that speaks so much to the heart of community as this particular initiative. And this is just one thing that the Kinsmen as an organization that you do. I'm often left speechless, which doesn't happen a ton as a teacher, but every time I see your group, there's just something that stirs in me and for me. And I truly believe it's because our community is a better place because you're here. And that's not just for me, that's from a grateful community. And so you're loved, you are appreciated, you're difference makers, and we are grateful for all you do. So thank you for being here this evening.
Councillor Loynes?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Again, to echo everybody else's statements about how wonderful you guys are. My daughter's favorite thing is to go to the Red Apple and pick out toys at Christmas time, and she goes very much to everybody else in the world, tells them how the man in the red shirt is going to take it to give it to another little girl. And so I just want to echo that seeing you guys out there in our community is affecting everybody from my 6-year-old daughter to our oldest person on council. It affects every one of us, and it's great to see all the hard work. Almost 3,000 hours doesn't seem even plausible, but you guys make it happen, so thank you.
Councillor Lowry?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. And yes, thank you very much for the presentation. I just want to make sure that I have the numbers right, and then I wanted to ask you how that's changed from last year. So I think you'd mentioned 1,900 families in the Stony Plain, Parkland County area, 2,900 volunteer hours, $250,000 in value distributed, 959 children. I mean, they're massive numbers. And we know that, times have definitely gotten tougher. And I'm just wondering if you can speak to a little bit of the increase. Where were we last year? How much more was it this year? And did you struggle at all to achieve that?
Deputy Mayor Plechko, Council, through to Councillor Lowry. We actually went down in families by about 40. We had some changes in residents. Some folks in the rural moved to Edmonton for resources and work. So I don't think they came off receiving. They just were no longer on ours. A few went to Spruce. 1900 is down about 100 people. But it's more people with children. So total children went up, 10 to 17-year-olds went up. Not big amounts. We expect 2 to 5% each year, just by population growth. This year, we had some one-time donations that put us over the top. Our support from youth, like youth being little kids, right through to our seniors, remain constant. Our business community stayed about the same. We lost a few, but we gained a few. But we had one, it's a one-time donation. The Ladies Auxiliary to the Legion, they gave us all their funds because they've always supported, but they are handing back their charter because you don't need a Ladies Auxiliary to the Legion because Legion is co-ed. So we got a one-time there that bumped us up. So our money received actually went up over the previous year, which is really good because when you have more children, it costs more money. So I think we were within $1,500 of expenses to revenue, but the year's not over. There's still time to get money. We got $5 the other day, so we'll take it every day. But the other numbers are all correct, except for the 1,900 was people. 710 families, 1,900 persons. But yeah, all the other 959 children. So when you think of that, half of them are children, which is, it is what it is. Just means we got to help kids, which is our job.
And thank you very much for that. And I appreciate that even though it went down, I love the fact that you're able to provide us the reasons with that, because I think that is something we're seeing in the community. I know we're working very hard to address housing needs assessments and the way that we can keep people in the community where they want to be and where they've raised their families and where they choose to live, rather than having to vacate that in order to go somewhere where they can't afford or they can receive the services. And you fooled me into checking the tap a couple of times, and if there's anybody who's going to fool me, I would gladly be fooled by that over and over and over again. So thank you very much. I love to see what you guys have done. I look forward to seeing Farmers Days as we do every year and the fantastic work that you guys do there. And just again, a huge thank you to all of you for all the work you do in our community.
Thank you. And if you guys don't have your conference that weekend, we're always looking for people.
Mayor Choi?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just in terms of a question for the Kinsmen themselves, I think you mentioned quite a few times that there's partnerships in everything that you've done. As my question is, how is our partnership?
Well, we could always accept more,
Okay.
but we're not asking for any more. The partnership with the town, and I'll ask any of the other chairs, because most of the gentlemen behind me chair at least one of our events. I would say that the relationship, the partnership that we have with the town of Stony Plain is exemplary. We have kinsmen, kinettes, and kin from other communities asking how you do that. And it's just building those foundational pieces. So we'll start with those that are the front lines. So to some of the folks to my right and to the left, their frontline people are exceptional to work with. They treat us with respect. They do everything within their power to facilitate whatever we're trying to do and be there in a collaborative manner. At the management level, we have open discussions. They're not negative. They're about all the positives and building on them. And then they're on, okay, is there something we can do better? And sometimes the answer is no. But that's not a negative. It's just, it's brought up, and then it comes to you folks. And we truly feel the support of council, mayor and councils, deputy mayor and council. So at all three levels, I would say that we have something that's special. I think we have something that has grown and evolved. And I think the partnerships that we do, neither of us could do it by ourselves. We couldn't do it. I don't think the town could put enough manpower to it, and I don't think we could have the resources to do it. So I think it's the best that we could ever ask for. Could it change? You bet. There's always small positive tweaks. Like, we made it through COVID together, right? Those families still got hampers. We put together a Farmer's Days. Mike, how many weeks did we have? 6? Yeah, 6 or 8, yeah. Put together Farmer's Days in 6 weeks during a pandemic. I don't know, that's pretty special. We've got some kinsmen here who've been here not quite 45 years. Cal? 36. But it's always been a partnership, right? Our assets together, you know, as we mentioned, and somewhere in this fine report, thanks to all the kinsmen who put it in, but when we partnered with the town on our new Heritage Park, we just had a pavilion. And we went through and it was like, well, the budget's used up, but we need to have facilities. So we came together and just said, what's needed? There was no doubt. Well, we needed tables and chairs. Okay, you can have all of ours. Well, it's not enough. Okay, we'll buy some more. Right? The curtains, you wanted to have 3 sports groups, so we did it. We had a concession that couldn't operate, so we finished it. That's what we do. Then we recognized there was no picnic tables outside. So we got the wood and the metal and we gave it to the high school and we gave them a donation and they built 100 picnic tables, which are still being used throughout the whole community. I don't know, the bleachers, the riding arena. When there's a need, we work together. Previous administration, we worked on grants, right? You knew you needed something and you needed some not-for-profit on the front of it, present it to us and we did it. Gladly, because it's for our community. Did that answer it?
Thank you, Mr. Bernie, and thank you, Deputy Mayor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Bernie. Seeing no more questions, I get the last opportunity to speak, and I can see why Mayor Choi likes this chair. He gets to speak last after we've each had our turn. So tonight, thank you for coming out. Thank you, each one of the members that has taken time to come out as well to this organization. The town does very much appreciate all that you do for the community and for the town. And I'm glad to see that some of that recognition has actually got your name plaque up beside it, because when I first got on council, I think you know that we weren't familiar with a lot of the things that the kinsmen did within our community. So every little thing now becomes noticeable for myself when it comes to the community. So I think we greatly appreciate that aspect from the kinsmen. You know, from the little things that you do, the give back to the, you know, the busing, the $10 gift cards, the $88,000 bursaries, says a lot of things. Christmas time, I think, says the loudest thing. I think that's the part of the community that the kinsmen really shine. Not that you don't shine the rest of the time, but that is one of the times of the year that you come together as a group to give back to the community at the most important time of the year. There's a lot of events in people's lives that come up and go by, but Christmas time is very, very dear to everybody's heart. So I thank you for that as well. And I think it was really unique this year. You created a program that caused some competition between your members and the community. And that in itself brought a whole new knowledge to what the kinsmen do. So any programs that you guys come up with that are creating the competition, from the RCMP to family members fighting over who's getting the donation to you know, that type of organization in your community is just second to none. So congratulations on that. And then finally, wow, what a feat, 45 years of giving back to a community of a group of individuals. I know you've had some come and go, but I also know that most of that has family support. And I think that's a part that we all forget about is we as volunteers, when we go out, we do what we want to do, but the heart and soul behind that most of the time is the community and our family members. So I want to thank your family members tonight. Even though I'm thanking you, I think it's important that your family members all know that we as council appreciate all that you do for our community and all they do for our community behind the scenes. So thank you very much. Having said that, great to see each and every one of you. And before you leave this evening, if you would come up and we can take a picture, I would greatly appreciate that. So thank you. Come forward.
You know, it's, instead
You're live recording.
Most amount of people we've had in here.
Since the dock in West Carolina, stage 17.
As you can see, most of council is very excited that we had the Kinsmen here. It's the most people we've had in a long time, so apologize to the public that are out watching, but a very good event. Thank you, guys. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the last Governance and Priorities Committee meeting minutes. Councillor Loynes with a motion, please.
Town Council accept the February 5th, 2024 Governance and Priorities Committee meeting minutes be presented as accepted. Wow.
Members of council, you've had the opportunity to read and review the committee meeting minutes from February 5th, 2024. Are there any errors or omissions or corrections? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next is business items. We have one business item this evening. Administration, please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Choi, Deputy Mayor Palechko, and members of council. I'm excited to present this report this evening, which has been a collaborative effort with various departments and staff. Through the Deputy Mayor, this review was first introduced at the January 8th, 2024 regular council meeting and is specific to council-appointed committees outlined within Section 145 of the Municipal Government Act. The review does not include boards that are established under other legislative requirements, such as the Library Board, the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, and external bodies. Municipal councils often establish council-appointed committees as a mechanism to engage and obtain feedback from the community on policy, services, and specific issues. Committees provide the opportunity for members of the public to share their opinions and perspectives, study issues, and provide feedback on specific defined matters in focused small group structures. Committees make recommendations or give opinions to council and administration, but they do not have decision-making powers. The proposed governance framework identifies the types of committees that council may form and provides a consistent manner for the establishment of committees, including structure, authority, reporting mechanism, composition, term, member selection, procedures, and administrative support. This framework will be incorporated into an overarching committee governance bylaw that will provide the structure for all council-appointed committees, recognizing that each individual committee will be required to establish by bylaw to formalize the committee's purpose and mandate. The framework will also incorporate member recruitment and recognition processes. A council committee is identified as a committee established by council for a specific mandate to provide community input and is accountable to council. Members of the committee are appointed by council. Council members may participate on the committee, and committee activities are shared with council through minutes or reporting mechanisms. Committees may form ad hoc committees consisting of their current membership to review matters in small group settings. Based on this framework, the town currently has one standing committee and 3 advisory committees. As per the Municipal Government Act, council committees are expected to be open and transparent. The framework identifies that council-appointed committees function as advisory bodies within the mandate and purpose set out in their terms of reference, but they do not have the authority to pass bylaws, enter into agreements, commit to or expense funds of the municipality, direct staff, or make decisions on behalf of the town. Council-appointed committees are used as a tool for community feedback, and it's important to establish a way for council to receive updates on the committee's activities. The framework requires reporting to council to occur through one or more of the following manners: committee meeting minutes, staff reports that incorporate direct recommendations from the committee, interval or annual reports from the committee, or direct reporting through updates from the council representative. The framework will provide consistency for all committees with the flexibility to address individual committee needs through their terms of reference. The composition of committees identifies the number of members, voting or non-voting rights, ex officio participation, applicant eligibility, attendance requirements, and term of membership. Most committees established consist of members of the public and/or members of council. The proposed framework will not exclude municipal employees from being appointed as committee members. However, administration would recommend that staff better serve committees in a liaison role. Councillors provide an important role as council's representative to advisory committees in a supportive nature rather than an advocacy role. Recognizing that committees do not have decision-making authorities, there is not a direct need for councillors to be voting members on advisory committees. Rather, councillors are recommended to actively participate in the committee discussions and provide regular updates related to committee activities. The town manager will delegate members of administration to facilitate the committee's activities and provide meeting protocol guidance. Support to the committee consists of developing an orientation for members, meeting attendance and preparation, coordinating agenda topics, providing advice and support for reporting to council, ensuring compliance with meeting procedures, providing information and expertise related to municipal services, legislative and regulatory requirements, and town policy and procedures, and recruitment and recognition provision for members. Committees will function in a transparent manner as outlined in the Municipal Government Act. Acknowledging that the public has a right to be present at meetings, committee meetings will be open to the public with meeting dates, times, agendas, and minutes being published on the town's website and live streamed where deemed appropriate. Meeting procedures may be established within a committee's terms of reference and shall be aligned with the town's procedural bylaw, and in the absence of established procedures, the procedural bylaw will be followed. A chair and vice chair will be elected from the voting members annually, and committee members will be subject to the council and committee code of conduct bylaw. Committees may provide general feedback for administrative consideration. However, if a committee wishes to recommend policy direction or a course of action, a formal recommendation must be made, voted on, and recorded at a committee meeting to be presented to council for consideration. The framework will incorporate general provisions related to recruitment and recognition of members to provide flexibility in adapting to the changing needs of both of these processes. Current recruitment is advertised through print media, social media, and portable and digital signage. Administration will seek enhancements to advertisement efforts through increased public engagement, improved website information, utilization of community signage, and access other opportunities as they arise. Administration is actively working on improvements for 2024 through updates to the current committee webpage, placing posters on community bulletin boards, and recognizing the opportunity to host an information booth at Midsummer Thursdays to share information and promote participation on council committees. Many council-appointed advisory committees across the province are voluntary in nature. However, some municipalities provide remuneration for public member participation. Remuneration varies based on time commitment and frequency of meetings. The town's council-appointed committees are currently voluntary in nature, aligned with many volunteer committee opportunities throughout the community. Administration is recommending remaining with the volunteer model and enhancing member participation through the inclusion in the annual Town Volunteer Appreciation Event and other recognition efforts, including professional development opportunities, offering of refreshments and snacks at meetings, provision of town promotional items, and end-of-term recognition activities. The purpose of evaluating committees is to assess their performance, ensure accountability, drive continuous improvement, optimize resources, and ensure they are aligned with their mandate. In 2024, administration will implement an annual self-evaluation process for committees to assess their effectiveness, efficiency, and overall performance in fulfilling the designated objectives. The self-evaluation provides an opportunity for committee members to reflect on their strengths, identify areas for improvement, and recommend changes to enhance the committee's functioning. It further serves as a valuable tool for gauging effective meeting participation, measuring the committee's performance, and determining if the committee remains an optimal manner of public engagement while respecting municipal resources. Although external boards and committees were not a part of this review project, Council may wish to review their participation on these bodies, and administration could be directed to proceed with an external boards and committee review prior to the end of 2025. Subject to feedback provided by Council this evening, administration is prepared to bring the Council Governance Framework Bylaw for consideration prior to the end of Q1. Once this framework bylaw is approved, the existing committees will be directed to complete a review of their terms of reference to form the establishing bylaws that may be brought back prior to the end of the year. Thank you for your time this evening, and administration is available to respond to questions of council.
Thank you, Manager of Legislative Services, for the great report this evening. Council, the floor is open for questions of clarity and understanding on the presentation. Any questions? Councillor Hansard.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I just would like to know, when a committee is established, how does the committee know when its job is done? I understand in the case of a task force, if I recall correctly, reading this, there is a set time at the inception of that committee. They're given 6 months or 9 months or 12 months or even 18 months to do their job and come back. Is it upon presentation to council, the final report or the findings of that committee, that committee's life or existence ends, and then everything is left up to council after that?
Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Hansard, thank you for the question. So when the committees are established, those are matters that would be considered through the terms of reference when the actual establishing bylaw for each committee is brought forward. If council is looking for a committee to provide continuous information with respect to policy or strategy on ongoing services or programs of the town, that committee may last for a longer period of time, maybe a few years, maybe a number of terms of council. Those are pieces that can be established at that time. When that committee is established, if council decides they have a certain mandate that should be completed within 2 years, then that can be addressed in that bylaw as well.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to administration, if, should council decide in the future to use a resident committee to help determine how council will be remunerated for their services, is it not understood that when that final report is given back to council, that the life of that committee and all of its members' service is ended at that time?
Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Hansard, that may be correct. It would depend on what you put in that establishing bylaw. So if that committee was established for that specific purpose and had a specific process to evaluate the end date, then that would be included in that establishing bylaw.
Councillor Laurie.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. A question in regards to the establishment, and maybe this will actually be addressed in the governance bylaw, the committee governance bylaw when it comes forward. It talks about the different committees that can be created in the presentation, but it doesn't necessarily talk to how that can be brought forward. So how do we get to the point of actually creating that? So this is the framework for the creation. I guess I'm looking for the steps leading up to this.
Thank you for the question through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Laurie. So at the start of this, I would suggest that we would first look at the 4 existing committees that we have and how we can bring them in line with the framework to, broaden that scope with those committees. And I would suggest in the future, those are conversations that council may have during their strategic planning session on, what kind of public engagement would be required for certain processes that council may want to bring forward a motion to have administration look at different committees or establish the content of what that would look like.
I'll save it for now.
Councillor Meyer.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm just looking for further clarity on administration's recommendation in regards to remuneration. If you could expand on that, please.
Thank you. Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Meyer. So currently, our advisory committees are voluntary in nature, which seems to be a standard practice in most organizations I've worked in and the benchmarking that I've completed. We believe that we have viable committees at this time. We often have enough members to fulfill the mandate and the terms, the committee recruitment. We have people that are passionate about the committees that we're supporting, and we want people to be a part of them for those reasons. And so we believe that we need to recognize their participation in an enhanced manner to make sure that they know they're appreciated. And we believe we can do that in some new manners. And we believe that that will increase participation over time, and we would like to explore that option during the next year or two to see where that leads and takes our committees.
Thank you. I appreciate the answer. And just in administration's perspective, in regards to getting qualified candidates, is there a challenge there, or?
Thank you for the question. Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Meyer. Advisory committees are advisory in nature. They're an opportunity to get public feedback, to see the pulse of the community, to learn what kind of things the community wants to see. I would say, depending on the terms of reference on the committee, there's not necessarily a qualification, except for people that want to be involved, want to provide feedback, want to be engaged in governance. And so I think when we have people putting their names forward that have that passion, I think that is qualification that we are looking for at this time. And I believe our committees have been fulfilling those mandates.
Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a question for administration. So in terms of the framework and when the bylaw comes forward, is it administration's, I guess, understanding that council will review all the terms of references and change them, or would the committees actually review the terms of reference and provide those changes, recommendations to council?
Your Worship, I may just provide a bit of comment, and then certainly the manager can expand on that further. I think, after the bylaw gets put in place, if council chooses to do so, I think moving forward from there, that will be a bit of a dialogue and a give and take and a understanding. I think, as to how that would happen exactly. I say that for the simple reason that the real goal with bringing this forward is to, to a certain degree, mature our committee processes, to move them a bit further forward, provide this overarching framework and some guidance at that level. A couple of the comments earlier, and I'll take a little bit of liberty, Mr. Deputy Mayor, too, on there was questions about terms of references and how would we do and I think one of the things the manager pointed out was building in some evaluation processes at the committee levels themselves. That would provide some context to, does this committee need to continue to exist? Well, one people to ask is the people on that committee. Are they feeling that they're providing value, so on and so forth? And I think just at a broader stroke here, as we create stronger governance within the committees themselves, and governance being, what is the mandate? Are we meeting the mandate? How are we working together as a committee? Are we growing? I know the manager mentioned some professional development, and board skill development within the community is a good thing to build as well. So some of the training that we can start offering down the road to the people on these committees, ad hoc or what have you, is also an attempt to build the governance of the community. So I'm just going to stop there, and certainly the manager can speak directly to the question as well. So.
Thank you, Town Manager, and through the Deputy Mayor to Mayor Choi. So because a council-appointed committee is ultimately a committee of council, my recommendation would be that the terms of reference would be developed with administration and council. And existing committees, we would obviously want their feedback into those terms. But when a committee is established, council is establishing it for a purpose and should really be setting that purpose through the terms of reference.
Okay, thank you.
No further. Any other questions of clarity or understanding? Thank you. Councillor Laurie for the motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'll move that the Town of Stony Plain Boards and Committee Governance Framework Overview be accepted for information.
Council, any debate or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the, sorry. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I got to remember I had to raise my hand a little bit higher here. No questions, no debate. Just a couple of things that really stood out for me that I think I have, I don't know that anybody ever says this, excitement for when it comes to our boards and committees, but that really comes back to valuing the input of the residents of Stony Plain. And I see that throughout here, wanting to increase our engagement, that it needs to go beyond, sort of a digital presence or an ask or recognition through a council meeting. But, we had heard, potentially an information booth at public functions. I think the example in the presentation was Midsummer Thursdays, which was something that we started this last year, and something like presenting opportunities to residents of the community to be involved with boards and committees, I think takes that opportunity another step forward, and not just being a presence in the community, but really looking to seek feedback from our residents and really relying and valuing on the perspectives that they bring to the table. A couple of questions we often hear, I've heard from people who have been involved or have talked about getting involved, but am I qualified? It seems to be right at the top of the list. And so, certainly in the presentation, we see consideration given to opportunities for professional development and that sort of thing. And so, not just inviting people to be a part of the process, but to have the tools necessary to find success and to find a voice and to find their ability to contribute maybe in a different way than they would have considered prior. Following, am I qualified? We'll often hear, well, what is expected of me? And will my voice really matter? And I think we see that captured here as well in terms of how, the voice will be heard, how that voice will influence council, how that will come back to a decision-making level. And then finally, are we actually doing what we want to do? The town manager spoke to meeting the mandate of the board and committee, and sometimes I think, we, with the best of intentions, put boards and committees together, but don't have them structured so that they're effective in what they're trying to accomplish, and we don't necessarily evaluate. I feel very loud this evening and echoey. I don't know if that's just me. Evaluating the role that they're taking on. And so again, as we see laid out here in the presentation this morning, just consideration being given to evaluation for committee members and for the efficacy of the commissions themselves. And so certainly some, work to do. We've heard that, but I'm really encouraged by what we're presented here with this evening, and looking forward to seeing how this plays out in the coming years. So thank you for your time on this.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Council discussion this evening. Let's start with Jay.
Just finished talking, coming right back. Along the theme of gratitude, which is something that's really hit home for me in my classroom and my personal life this year, had hoped this evening actually to talk about community organizations, and so how fitting it is that the Kinsmen are here with us. But had the privilege of attending the Let Us Get to Know Each Other, I believe was the name of it, event through our Community and Social Development Department and their staff and the leadership of our CSD General Manager with a number of members of council and the mayor as well. It's really cool to not just see people who are invested in community because it's a vocation, but a passion. And we saw a significant number of volunteer organizations and community volunteers attend that session. To follow that with the Kinsmen here this evening, I think I'm just feeling a very deep sense of gratitude for the commitment of our team, our staff, those that work in social development, helping move our community forward, but also the volunteers and service organizations that carry that mantle as well. Certainly, we heard the number of thousands of hours that get invested every year into our community, and at times can be a thankless job. But I know from myself and the rest of my colleagues on council, I believe I can say this, with deepest gratitude to the Kinsmen and our other service organizations. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Councilor Hansard.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm just looking forward to next week when several members of council will be attending the Alberta Municipality Spring. Is it called a caucus, or it's not a conference, a caucus, I guess. I'm looking forward to that. We always learn a great deal, and I think we have opportunities to speak to some ministers about things that we're trying to get done and accomplished that will benefit our community. So I'm looking forward to being part of that. The Let Us Get to Know Each Other was a really great, very interesting event. You didn't feel guilty about eating because it was all healthy.
Thank you, Councilor Hansard. Councilor Meyer.
I told you guys he could say it better than I could, but nothing for me this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Meyer. Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just I want to bring council's attention to, there's the grand opening on Saturday, March 9th. So, way ahead of myself here. At 11 a.m., there is a new business opening up within the town of Stony Plain, and it's called Empowered Defense Class, EP something. But it is Sarah Williams. She is a retired RCMP officer, so she'll be offering self-defense classes for little kids to youth to families. So looking forward to another business opening up in the town of Stony Plain. And the second thing I want to highlight to members of council is Sunday, September 10th. It is one of those days that we dread. I don't know about you, but I seem to stab my fingers or I hit my toe because I don't have enough sleep. So we'll be losing an hour of sleep on Sunday. But we also have a council meeting on that following Monday, so hopefully everybody's here at the proper and appropriate time.
So that would be March 10th, not September 10th?
That'll be March 10th.
I'm glad that you're far enough ahead, but don't put us that far.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mayor Choi. Councilor Loynes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First off, I want to say a huge thank you to our General Manager of Planning Infrastructure. With, once again, another snowfall over the weekend, it was great to see our Public Works out clearing the roads. I did get a phone call, and I was pretty sure I knew the answer, but I just thought I'd ask for clarification from the General Manager of Community Protective Services in regards to it, though. about tagging and towing vehicles that aren't moved off of the main drags when our wonderful Public Works guys are out.
Your Worship, Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Loynes, 72 hours is the time frame in which a vehicle must be removed. So if we do get a complaint, we do put a sticker on the vehicle, and 72 hours later, we do attempt to try and get a hold of the registered owner as quickly as possible, and sometimes as simple as that. The vehicle gets moved very quickly if we can get a hold of the owner and the owner is willing to move the vehicle quickly. So signs go up. If they're up within 72 hours, we can tag and tow very quickly after that.
Okay, thank you. That's everything for me then.
Thank you, Councillor Loynes. Oh, can't even say your name today. That's pretty bad, eh? Councillor Laurie, please.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and no, I just want to echo the comments. I've received a lot of positivity for the Public Works crews and how hard they've been out there working on the roads, not just the plowing, but coming behind with the sanders as well. We know a lot of communities that they'll go through with the plows really, really fast, but all it does is just leaves a complete gloss of ice, and they don't come behind with the sand or the grit or anything for a couple of days. So to have them coordinated the way they've been coordinated, I know I've had several residents reach out and express their appreciation for that. And very excited as well, another one that I've been asked a bunch to see. We originally had planned our residential removal to start this Monday. More snow over the weekend. Crews have already been on top of that, are working on it, and now we're only scheduled to start that on Wednesday. So good to see them kind of remaining on schedule and responding as conditions vary. And hopefully with the warm-up, that'll allow them to really get through the residential areas and get that broken up and moved quickly. So appreciate all the work that they've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Laurie. And as always, I get to have the last speak. So thank you, Mayor Choi, for allowing council to take the opportunity to sit and chair meetings. I think it's important for each one of us to be able to have a chair at the table and learn that role as we move through it, whether we choose to move into that role in the future or not. That would be each one of our choices. Again, I thank Mayor Choi for this opportunity this evening. And I look forward to serving the residents for the next 4 months from now till the end of June in the Deputy Mayor's position. And I look forward to having conversations with each and every one of you that would like to have a conversation. My phone number is easily accessible, and I'm easily accessible. So I look forward to that. Thank you for this evening. There's no closed session this evening. That brings us to the end of our agenda this evening, and I would like to hand the chair back to Mayor Choi.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and appreciate your work today. And then this is one of the reasons why we're changing this up. Definitely the ability to mentor members of council so that we can build a stronger team. So with that, I think that was done. Great work, everyone, for reading your agenda packages and coming up with questions. And Councilor Plechko, it's Councilor Anderson, not Jay. And so...
He's been called worse.
Well, I guess beer's on the Deputy Mayor for calling you by the inappropriate name. With that, we are adjourned.